We'll get started. Good evening and welcome. I call the August meeting of the Westonka School Board to order. Please rise and join us in the pledge of allegiance to the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Chair moves the approval of the agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Announcements. September 5th, Finance Committee meeting at 7:30 a.m. via Google Meet. September 9th, we have a Policy Committee meeting at 5:30 p.m. followed by our regular board meeting at 6 p.m. right here in this room. September 18th, we have a Facilities Committee meeting at 7 a.m. here in this room. Are there any members of the public who wish to come before the board to speak? Oh, we have some people who signed up, okay. Charlotte Barron, please come on up to the podium. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Charlotte Barron, and I've been a para at the Westonka High School and Transition Program for almost 20 years. I've been a para for over 25 years. And I'm speaking tonight to give a glimpse into a day of a high school transition plus para. First, you need to know that a number of us bring knowledge to our jobs. Then we have to pass a para pro test, have CPI training, and need to certify as a PCA so that you can use third-party billing. We train to do Hoyer lifts and transferring, feeding tubes, diabetes needs, seizure protocol for each person who has a seizure, as their protocol can be different. We know EpiPens, asthma inhalers, wheelchairs, walkers, gait assist, sensory programs, restroom protocol. We know what time a student will need medication so that we can escort that young person to the nurse. Some young people have a BIP that we need to know. A couple of us have DOT certificates so we can drive vans and activity buses. We know how to navigate communication devices and Chromebooks. We do job coaching, social skills coaching, volunteer supervision. We chaperone at Fast Start and extracurricular enrichment events and assist walking at graduation. I have, at 3 different times, for 2 weeks each, gotten into the pool to assist students with their swimming program. We hand feed and assist young people with eating at lunch, and we know what foods they can and cannot eat. Then we help young people to navigate their academic classes, homework, and teachers. We do ceramics, painting, drawing, band, choir, shop, computer classes where we assist and problem solve so each young person experiences the most of their class. Our main goal with all of this we do is to maintain the dignity deserved during the most fragile time of their life. If it looks effortless, I guarantee it's not. We're doing our job. We do what is asked of us. These are not choices. I can't express enough how a para is the glue to all professional in a young person's day. There are PT, OT, speech, DAPE, the school nurse, case managers, and academic teachers teaching that can only be addressed if the para helps to implement. It needs to be done so a young person can have the most successful experience in school. Can you imagine a teacher having to stop their class to help a high school student dignity blow their nose, hold their paintbrush, go to the restroom, step outside the classroom and give reassurance that crossing the threshold late won't fail them for that quarter. Some of you see us at the WAC walking the track or in the community and may think, what an easy gig. If it looks easy, we're doing our job. What you don't see are skills being reinforced, guidance, and safety measures. We are always helping to learn. And I say this to you tonight so that you understand the paras of Westonka are not like those of surrounding districts. We are highly qualified and extremely cooperative with those we work with, and this is why we need more pay.
Thank you. The next speaker is Matthew McIntyre.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to address the school board this evening. My name is Matt McIntyre, and I'd like to speak just about the general importance that paraprofessionals play in our district. I believe every job is essential to these kids having a great experience in school, but my vantage point is from a para and a parent. So I'm a special ed paraprofessional at Hilltop Elementary, as well as a parent of a child who receives special ed services in the district. My wife, son, and I moved to Mound this last January from a small town in Washington. I was hired as a para by the district shortly after. We moved to the greater Minneapolis area to be near family, but I can honestly say what brought us to Mound was the reputation of the Westonka district. My son's on the autism spectrum, and navigating the school environment has been a challenge for him since his first day of kindergarten. Our small town district back in Washington was underfunded and understaffed, and though they did their best, my son was struggling daily. I'm happy to report that in contrast, he's making major progress here in the Westonka schools. So what do I feel is different about those two district experiences? If I had to sum it up as both a parent and an employee, I'd say that Westonka schools, they truly take the time to put time and resources to meet every child's individual needs, which is the true essence, especially in special education, of what an IEP, an individualized education plan or program, is supposed to do. With our son, we feel that his success was achieved through hard work of both a licensed staff as well as strong paraprofessional support. Having a para work with him during the challenging moments of anxiety, frustration, self-doubt, anger, which had been daily parts of his school experience, was key to helping him succeed. Having a trusted adult who could focus on him in the way that only a para can do within the context of a busy classroom, it's made such a profound difference in his success. I'm proud to be a para in the district. I know from both vantage points how important it is to have caring, dedicated, qualified people in these positions. This is why all paraprofessionals in our schools deserve to be making a wage that can support us as community members as well. I'll be honest, it's tough to live on a para's pay. It's a tough decision of whether or not to try to opt into health insurance through the district when we know it'll cost us such a large portion of our monthly take-home pay. And it's honestly tough to know that we have a job with such a critical role within our schools while always keeping an eye open for a second job. We have to make ends meet like everybody else. And I feel that our district has done so much to help our kids not only survive but thrive. And I think that the district can put forth the resources to make this the same reality true for all of our employees as well. Thanks.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Okay. Moving on to treasurer's report. Ralph?
Yes, we begin with Anonymous, Hilltop Primary School, $20. Blackbaud Giving Fund, Mount Westonka High School, $20. Charities Aid Foundation, Mount Westonka High School, $87.32. Sharon Thaler, Mount Westonka High School, $7,000. Mike Cause, Westonka Community Theater, $995. The Pueblo Cuatro LLC, Westonka Cross Country, $250. Jubilee Foods, Tonka Box, $700. Donations so far for fiscal '25 are $9,072.82. And Madam Chair and board members, I put the check ledger for July, and all seems to be in order.
Thank you, Ralph. Financial report, Kathy?
Good evening, Board. Okay. Due to the early state of our fiscal 23-24 audit, tonight I will be presenting, thank you, Mark. I will be presenting an updated snapshot of our June 30th, 2024 reports, financial reports. The majority of our audit entries are complete, not all, but we have the bulk of them in: property taxes, state aids, federal receivables. And as of this moment, we are, just under 100%, 99.7%, or we have received $38,364,000. Expenditures reflect that we have, again, are just under that 100,000 mark, which is our benchmark. We've expended $38,477,000. Again, we have a handful of entries yet to complete, and but at this point we are anticipating a smooth audit, and again, the audit will be remote this year, and we'll have a lot more information at our next board meeting. Any questions on the June 30th snapshot? As I mentioned, we're gearing up for the audit. We are having that the first week of school, so right after Labor Day. It'll start 2 weeks from tomorrow, and they will wrap things up. We'll meet with the board finance committee in between then, but the formal presentation will be on October 14th. The next item that we are working on in our office is the Pay 25 levy. We are getting all the data submitted. The deadline for that initial data is August 27th. And once they close the window on the data collection, or the initial data collection, we will be receiving preliminary reports. Again, that'll be that first week of September as well. We'll go through, Kevin and I go through those line by line to make sure that the information looks accurate. We'll go through that with the finance committee, and this will be on the September board. And just as a reminder, that's something we typically will certify at maximum, and that allows for any corrections that the state may have. And then the actual numbers we will certify with hard numbers in December at our truth and taxation hearing. So we're kind of into the beginning of the levy season. So between the audit and levy, and this is kind of my favorite time of the year. And then lastly, we do have our next school board finance committee meeting on September 5th. And that's a kind of an exciting meeting too. Again, we'll be reviewing our levy. We will be reviewing our first days of school enrollment, as well as updated audit data. So that's what we have going on in our office. Any questions? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Teaching and learning.
So as I get going tonight, we are embarking on another school year, and this morning we had the pleasure of meeting 12 new teachers today. And I'll tell you, 12 was more wonderful than 24, 25 that it has been in the last couple of years. But really just a testament to the work our principals have done, and Emily Russman, our Director of Special Services, we're hiring just a top-notch group of people. So we are on our way, and I'll bring my slides up here. So I have 3 things tonight to share with you. This is the time of the year when standardized test scores are released, and tonight I'll be presenting on our AP, Advanced Placement results, and a lot of great news to share with you tonight. We'll start with, in 2024, we had 327 AP exams taken by 203 students, and you can see the trend history. That's about right in the ballpark of what we've done for a number of years. And what's really exciting to share with you tonight, we're at an all-time high of the percentage of those that take an AP test earn a passing score. Now, in general, passing score is a 3 or higher. Colleges, universities set their own standard, but we look at a 3. And we're right at 80%. That is an all-time high. So of all the AP exams this year, 80% earned a 3 or higher, which is wonderful. And you can see the low point in 2021. We were in the pandemic. We're dealing with a bunch of different things, and we're coming out of that very, very competitively. The other pieces to share with you are the AP Scholar designations, and we're at an all-time high of 60 scholars since we've tracked AP data since 2007. 30 high school students earned the AP Scholar status, and you can read what the qualification is. 15 earned AP Scholar with honors, and then another 15 earned AP Scholar with distinction. That distinction column is for students that took 5 or more AP courses, a minimum of a 3.5 average on all those AP exams. So
Mark, is that over the course of just 1 year?
their high school
Their high school
their
career?
high school
Okay,
career.
got it.
So this is the graduating class of 2024. So truly, some just wonderful things happening with our students. And then I wanted to call out with you just some, we noticed in our analysis of the AP results, certain courses really had great success this year. So in AP English Lit had an 86% passing rate, a 3.41 average score. AP Stats, 100% passing rate. AP US Government, 91% passing rate. So that would be your seniors, typically that are taking an AP course. They had a 3.75 average. And then with AP US History and AP World, went off the charts for those courses. All-time school record, 75% passing rate. That is typically your sophomores, their first AP course they take, with a 3.09 average score, and AP World History, your juniors, 96% passing rate, with a 4.0 average score. So truly strong results coming through. And so what happened? Well, part of it is the intentional work of our AP teachers, intentional work of focusing on what the instructional practices need to be in an AP course, looking at the course content. It's also Principal Herfeld meeting with the AP teachers, talking about what the expectation is, what we feel that we can do differently, and that's the fruits of their labor. So the same thing's going to happen now next week, where Jolene and I will be meeting with AP teachers. We'll go over the results. We'll do an analysis or review of what went well, what didn't, apply that wisdom to this year, and we anticipate another strong year coming up in 2024. So, job well done.
Are those, so do you have a sense of course you do, like how many, like you'll get the stats, 100% passing rate, so
Yeah.
like how many kids are taking
So AP Stats, I knew someone would ask that. AP Stats, that was 11 students, so on the smaller end. But when you look at your government, US history, world history, that typically could be anything from 25 to 30. If there's one section of those courses, sometimes we have 2 sections. I don't have those exact numbers,
Yeah.
but those are full classrooms taking these classes.
And do most students then sit for the exam if they take the course?
Oh, yes.
Do you have any students that don't?
That, there are always a few. I don't have that stat, but typically we're all in together to do this. And you do have a few AP courses where we don't provide a course, like macroeconomics is an AP course, or AP computer science. We'll have 1 or 2 students that they just love that subject area and they can sit for the exam, whether they're in a course or not. But we do encourage our students, if you're going to take an AP course, take the exam, practice, learn from it. There's no harm.
Is it typical, I'm assuming it's typical that they're generally the AP students are taking more than one AP test course, or am I wrong?
Depends on the student. For like your sophomores, typically they may be taking 1, US history. Some might be taking AP biology, which is typically in the sophomore year. It really depends on the student. We have a few students that are maybe taking up to 3 AP courses. That is intense. We say keep it to 1 or 2, but that is a family decision.
And then we have students that may decide they want to take post-secondary options, so taking college classes instead of AP, so they might be taking an AP, a couple PSEO classes. There's sometimes students will take a couple APs their junior year, less their senior year. It really varies. But I think Mark is right, that sophomore, a lot of times US history, sometimes they'll complement it with a science and a math if certain students might be doing that.
Right. So, has there been any change to the AP course offerings this year as opposed to last year, or?
They're the same. They're the same.
Is that a yearly review of, say, participation rates, or maybe something new comes along, or something is offered, or something maybe dropped from lack of whatever?
We're at the high school, we're very solid on the AP courses that we want to offer, or we feel that is best for students. There is a process to add an AP course. It's something you just don't add on a whim. There's required training, there's certification. It's something that you want to look at your overall program to say, do we have a missing link? Is there a place where we can do better? You know, we've had discussions about AP English Lit. There's also AP English language. That could be something we could add, but it's all part of our same process of when we want to add courses at the high school. We have a very succinct process we go through with the department and with a particular teacher that's maybe asking to determine if we're going to do that the coming year or not. But right now, we'll be offering the exact same AP courses as we did last year.
I just thought there may be, you know, as parents come in and there's
Yeah.
turnover and stuff like that, there might be some, I wouldn't say groundswell, but there might be interest as time goes on, and different people come in different AP areas that they, you know, they look at or they request.
Certainly, and that could happen. No one has come to me yet on that, but that certainly could happen, and we would have a discussion about that, absolutely.
So, I mean, so we don't have, for example, AP chemistry in here.
We have offered AP chemistry, and there's an example where that was a little bit of a groundswell by students and families that wanted that, and we did offer it. But then we learned after 3 or 4 years, the number of students signing up for AP Chem dropped. And then when you only have 4 or 5 registered for an AP Chem course, that becomes really challenging for us to offer that. So that would be an example where we would listen to families, students, and then there is the economics of offering courses that we have to think about too. And that's really hard to offer, for example, AP Chem when only 4 or 5 ask for it. Could we bring it back? Absolutely.
But like with the statistics, you've got 11 kids, so the
Yeah.
critical mass was 10?
I think it sometimes depends. So there's I would say, yeah, if you can clear 10, but it also just depends on how your financial year is looking.
Right.
Sometimes some of the sciences can compete against each other, and so the same students are trying to decide which one is it that they're wanting. It's sometimes the play where PSEO comes in for, if you have a handful of students that want that, they seek out that experience. But in the end, we want to have the courses that our kids want to take, and we try to stay nimble enough about rotating what they are.
Is there a reciprocity possible between, say, schools that are in similar locations or groupings and stuff like that that may be able to be offered if the kids are ready to travel to a class in another school
Yeah,
district?
it's a great idea. What would happen is that you'd have to open enroll into the school. Typically, that does not happen because then you're talking, I'm in one system for part of the day and another system another day. It gets pretty messy.
You're dealing with eligibility for different students, and so usually it's online or it's PSEO when they
So
start.
those are kind of major hurdles that
They're
just
hard to
can't
get
get
around.
around.
Yeah, but good question. I'm just going to follow up with just a couple other things. I've talked with you about the READ Act, and the READ Act is alive and well. It is something that's a requirement from the Department of Ed. And again, the goal of the READ Act is to ensure every Minnesota child is reading at or above grade level every year. And the big piece of this that impacts staff is the required professional development that has to be done. And we have launched into that, as every Minnesota district has. And this is just a very quick summary of what is happening with reading professional development. There are 3 different professional development programs that we're using. Early Letters, that is for preschool staff. Letters is for your elementary staff. And Core is for both elementary, middle school, and high school staff. And as you can see, Early Letters, that would be your preschool teachers and assistants that have started that. It's also for preschool special education teachers. It's about 25 hours of training. The Core and OLA stands, it's another acronym. I can't tell you tonight exactly what that is, but it is OLA, an acronym for reading training or letters. That is for currently our elementary teachers, Grandview language art teachers, our K-12 special ed teachers, intervention teachers, and administrators. Very, very busy this summer with learning about reading, how kids learn to read, science of reading research in that. And again, these are robust programs. As you can see, letters, early childhood, about, I said 25, it's actually 40 hours. Letters for the majority of our staff, 120 hours, completed over 2 years. And then the Core, the OLA, is 50 hours. And have great, great respect for our staff that are doing this. Now, we have built this into their contractual time. So during the summer, principals have worked with their staff to trade out flex time to do some of this work. Workshop days this year are going to be dominated by this. And you know, the goal is, let's do it right. Let's make sure it makes an impact on our students in the classroom. And let's do it in a collaborative way. Some districts, they're just paying their staff to do it on your own time. That's great, but what you're missing in that model is the collaboration. And that's what we're after, is the collaboration. Talk with each other about what you're learning, how you're gonna apply it into your classroom. That is the end result with that. So myself, building principals, Emily Russman, we'll be working with staff with this. And will there be some stress along the way? Absolutely. This is a lot of time going into this training. And it's just something we need to be very thoughtful and sensitive with our staff as they go through this. But I will tell you, I'm taking the Core training myself. It's solid. It's absolutely solid, robust, and I will give it a grade of an A with the infrastructure, how they put it together between synchronous sessions, asynchronous, workbook, reflection time. It's done well. So more to come on that, and we'll be talking with staff as we get into this year. The school starting up shortly. There'll be a phase 2 training coming up, and it'll involve high school staff, our K-12 paraprofessionals. The Department of Ed has not shared with us yet what that training is going to look like. It'll look different, because the training right now is all about the foundations of how to read. So when you're working with secondary students that maybe are struggling with reading, how do we support them? So there'll be more details coming, but nothing's been released yet, but that'll be coming here sometime this year. The start date for the previous has started. The end date is July 1st, 2026. Phase 2 will start July 1st, 2025, and they'll have till July 1st, 2027. So it's a long-term commitment that we're all in together. Okay, last thing I want to share with you. So my summer has been about reading, redact work, and it's also been about high school redesign. And Jolene and I, we kid ourselves that I think now we could go on the show and we could set up a machining shop anywhere in this state. We know our stuff. We know our stuff. And during the end of July, Dale Kimball, will be he'll be the instructor for machining. He and I went to what's called the H-Tech conference in Dunwoody. And Haas, you'll get to know Haas. Haas is the premier manufacturer of CNC mills. And they have this huge arm of making them financially available to high schools and K-12 institutions. So they put on this big conference at Dunwoody. And it truly was a terrific time. So Dale and I are networking, we're meeting lots of different high school and university instructors, we're talking with equipment vendors, we're meeting with Dunwoody staff, we're getting a taste of what these machines are. That second picture with Dale, that is a Haas CNC mill. We're gonna have one of those in our machining lab, in a couple of years. I have a conference call with a rep from Haas tomorrow. We're gonna talk a little bit more in detail about exactly the specs for that. E.J. Daigle over here on the right side, he's a dean at Dunwoody. He's gonna be a partner with us. He knows exactly what we're trying to build. And he wants to make sure that we can do it right. You have the information you need. Let us help you and be a partner with you when it comes to the big questions that might come up with installation, ventilation, power. So he's gonna be there with us. The lower left-hand corner, those are CNC mills. So that's the manual, I'm sorry, that's CNC mill is what Dale's by. That's like the automated mill. The manual mill down here in the lower left-hand corner, that's where students start their machining learning. So we'll be having a few of those. And then over the right-hand side is a welding station. So we're studying, we're talking with Dunwoody, we're talking with different equipment reps about what is it that we have to make sure we have in place to build out a robust machining program. So a lot of great things that are coming up in the coming years here. But really what's had to happen is that we have to know our blueprint, we have to know the equipment, we have to know what the program's going to be. All those details, so Wool puts that together for us so that we can start building it like next summer or whatever that time is. So a lot happening, a lot of exciting things happening here. And I will just close that at our September meeting, I'll be coming with state MCA results for you. And then we'll do a little review of our MTAS, multi-tier systems of support update with you. We'll be on our way. So, thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
Okay, Kevin.
So, last Monday we had the start of fall sports, and already today we had the beginning of competitions. Girls tennis already were having doubles on the courts, and so it's exciting and we're moving. And just a great shout out to our custodians and our grounds crew over the summer. This summer was particularly busy for grounds with the wet weather, the warm weather. You know how often you had to mow your lawns just to keep up, and they wanted to keep these fields in the condition, but then the rest of everything else in those conditions. And so just a shout out to them that they did a really nice job and will continue to. We have this Saturday already, we have soccer games kick us off. We have football scrimmage, and so we're in the throes of it, and it's exciting to have kids starting to come back. This Thursday we have Fast Start at the high school, so we start seeing the families at large. We've had eligibility meetings with families, and so there's this progression of each day you get a little bit more. We had new teachers here today, and so we do a week-long training with new teachers. This Thursday, all teachers will be back, and a number of our paraprofessionals will be back. And so that's exciting to bring them into the mix. We've had bus drivers already in training, and so last week, this week starts getting a little bit more. Then the following week we have open house for a lot of our kids, and it's here, the back of the school, and that's exciting because you work over the summer to get ready for the next year, and you get to this point where you say, we're ready. And so custodians are just doing the final touches on getting rooms set. Speaking of facilities, tennis courts are moving along, and so if you take a picture where we were this middle of July and where we are now the middle of August, we went from The trees were cleared, but dirt was not yet moved to now the first section of 4 courts. There's sand down, the posts are in, we're starting to frame for concrete. The second set of 4 courts is sand is going in. Later this week we'll have posts going in for them. I'd say by mid next week, end of next week, we're gonna start seeing the concrete trucks start coming in. And so it's an exciting time. It continues to move. For our primary early learning and Shirley Hills security projects, they continue to finalize the lockdown capabilities. The one thing that'll go into September is some of our glazing of glass and replacement of glass, and so we've worked with our primary principals how we'll stretch that into the school as we operate our opening. Lead times on glass are longer, and so we knew that this would be one that kind of pushed us at the end, and we're working on a plan of doing that. But a huge thanks to the community for the support of these projects being able to move forward. The security projects, when you take pictures of that, of doors going in, I know it's not quote unquote exciting to see the doors, but the function of the doors is really a great, not just comfort, but an expectation of how we can better keep our kids safe. And so those things mean a lot. The kids playing on the tennis courts, looking across, new ones going in, there's a lot more appetite of saying, boy, that's exciting, because they see the cracks and what they're working through and what's coming up. And so we're excited about the projects. We're continuing to move forward with the design of the middle school and the high school. We really expect the high school to be going out for bid in October, receiving those back in November at some point, and so roughly October, November, when those go out, when we should see results. Grandview will be a little bit behind what the high school is, and so that's naturally set just a little bit later. But that'll be really exciting to finalize that design work and then also get that out and start moving forward with it. As we get into the year more, we'll release more information of how we're going to phase in these projects, but I think you can expect the high school to start late spring, and you'll see the Grandview project really happening over the summer months. To all that have been involved in the planning, really want to say thank you. We, as Kathy mentioned, our auditors are coming in a couple weeks, and so our finance department is finalizing that preparation in addition to what they do on a monthly basis, and so really appreciate that team. You saw communication this past month on our brand rollout, and so that is coming out, and I'll talk more about that at our September meeting. I would highlight that our policy committee is going to start looking at our goal setting process, and we'll start reviewing in 2026. We're going to be ready for a new slate of goals, and so with the policy committee looking at our process, I believe that we'll be working with the whole board on this, probably at a special board meeting that we will call out and set a date, but I would expect in the winter to just talk a little bit about our process and then move forward with the goal setting. But we're excited about that. We're totally engaged with our current goals of facilities and working through some of our supports for mental health, some of our academic supports. Mark talked about the READ Act, but also there's a lot that we're just working on with our benchmarks and how we meet those benchmarks. But with that, we're going to be excited for the new challenges ahead of us. I would just conclude my comments that both Shar and Matt spoke about the careers of a paraprofessional, what that means here in Westonka. I think Shar's words were very accurate, and there were some acronyms that were used in there, but with all of those acronyms, and I'm not going to go back, and she used the term BIP, and BIP is a behavioral intervention plan. She talked about some things that were medically related. She talked about some of the mental health supports, and so they're dealing, they have a very important job, and she used the word glue. And I think it's all of glue and more. I mean, they're not just connecting other professionals to other professionals, but they're really the supports that our kids need to thrive here. I think Matthew spoke really well as a parent and also a para of what those supports mean for the success and just a little bit of the culture we try to live here at Westonka. So I know from conversations that I've had with all of you, our respect for the professionals that are in our district and the work that they have at hand. I would just want to comment that they accurately spoke of their profession, the importance of it, and the heart that they give it, and appreciate the extended efforts they do to do their job well, and we're excited to have them back. So that is my update.
Thank you,
Matt,
Kevin.
he alluded to health insurance issues, and there was some alluding to the fact that our staff is maybe more qualified than neighboring district staff and have less pay. Is that the case?
No,
I know there's always health care.
Yep.
issues.
So I think with healthcare, you're going to see different packages offered by different districts, but we really work at having a competitive package for all of our employee groups. And so through the process of negotiation, those are expectations of us, that we can attract and retain and honor the work that they do. And we look at that in how some of that is comparisons that we see around us. Typically with our employee groups, our packages for our different employee groups are stronger than the districts to our west, and we have some larger, more metro districts where maybe those are a little bit higher, but we try to stay consistent with our different employee groups overall.
So this employee, that's consistent with everything else we've been doing?
Yes. And that's what our goal here through our negotiation process is, to achieve and maintain that. But yeah, I think trying to be competitive in that field, definitely consistent.
Kevin, you alerted to also to the glass and security for the doors.
Yep.
Do we have workarounds, because the students are what, 10 days away, 12 days away?
Yeah, so both in timing or how we utilize different entrances, exits. So of course, for main operations, for code, of course, we will meet all of those. But there will be times where we might be directing people to a different exit if that's needed, or we would operate it in a way where glass is going in. But
Right, I mean, we'll have a protocol in place in case something on a job gets hung up or something for a day or two.
we're going to pretty much replace as we go through some of these systems.
Okay. Thank you, Kevin. Chair moves approval of the consent agenda. Is there a second?
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to action items. The chair moves approval of action item 7A, approval of adult and staff food service program fees for 2024-25. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? There was a correction from, I think, an earlier version. There is a slight price increase for these. I think it ranges from about 5 to 15 cents, so there is a little bit different in the earlier version of this. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Chair moves approval of action item 7B, approval of reducing an open Mount Westonka High School special education paraprofessional position, 2.56 FTE. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. The chair moves approval of action item 7C, approval of the 2024-2026 contract between the Principals Association and the Westonka School District. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to closed session. The open meeting law, Minnesota statute section 13D.03, allows the school board to close a meeting to discuss labor negotiations for the SSE and food service employee groups. The chair moves to close this meeting for this purpose. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. We will go into closed session in conference room A. Okay. Calling the meeting back to order. Is there any further business to come before the board tonight? If not, the chair moves for adjournment. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.